Spider-Man No Way Home did what 10 years ago, honestly, maybe even 5 years ago, we would have thought would be completely impossible. But they made it possible. They brought together the three movie Spider-Men in live action in one movie for Spider-Man No Way Home. Obviously, it was Tom Holland's movie, but they brought in Andrew Garfield. They brought back Tobey Maguire and made it work so well because it still felt like a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. They weren't just shoehorned in there. They helped propel the story forward. And it was just so perfectly executed. I'm so happy with this movie. And I love that they brought these three together on screen because it was just such a magical moment. And obviously, this movie was a huge success, part of it being because of their return, the play on that nostalgic factor. And after No Way Home, obviously we know we're going to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man again. We know we're getting a Spider-Man 4. We know we're getting a second trilogy with Tom Holland in the MCU. That is really exciting. I'm super hyped for that. I really look forward to more of Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the future. But what about the other Spider-Man? They brought back Andrew Garfield and they brought back Tobey Maguire. But they definitely left the door open in the end that they could return once more. And obviously, we got things coming up in the MCU with the multiverse like Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, where it is very possible that we will probably most likely see at least one of them return, probably both. But could we see their solo adventures continue outside of the MCU? Could we get more movies starring these versions of Spider-Man? This has been a big conversation going on since No Way Home with a huge success and so many fans clamoring for it. Me personally, and I know a lot of people, the big one we want is TASM 3. Give us the Amazing Spider-Man 3. Finish off Andrew Garfield's trilogy. There's just so much they could do with this. Have it be a crossover with Tom Hardy's Venom. Have Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man get the Venom symbiote. I mean, he had a perfect place story-wise, character-wise. After the death of Gwen Stacy, he's vulnerable. He could get taken over by the symbiote. He stopped pulling his punches, as he said in No Way Home. You could do Black Cat because Felicia Hardy was there in TASM 2. You could bring in Mary Jane. Shailene Woodley was amazing casting as Mary Jane Watson. And then her scene was cut from TASM 2. Bring her in for TASM 3. It's perfect. Everything is there. I really want this, but you know what a lot of other people want as well, and I'd also appreciate this as well, is Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4. Because for those who don't know, it was not supposed to end on a trilogy, especially the mess that third movie was, featuring a lot of studio interference there. There was supposed to be a Spider-Man 4. That was a movie that was actively in development. It was supposed to come out years and years ago now. It was like, I don't even remember what year it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like 2011 or something like that. It was like May of 2011 because, you see all the time on like Twitter and TikTok, people dig up that old tweet from Sony Pictures where it says, Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4 is coming May whatever 2011, and then you look at the date today and we never got that movie. And it's really interesting to see what could have been. But again, just studio interference. Sony wasn't letting Sam Raimi do what he wanted to do. Tobey Maguire wasn't really happy with how things were going. So they just decided to call it quits. And we never got that Spider-Man 4. But could we now get that Spider-Man 4? Now, my perspective on this since No Way Home has been, it's possible. Because obviously, Tobey Maguire, he came back for No Way Home. Does that mean maybe he's open to doing more? Potentially. Sam Raimi just recently directed Doctor Strange The Multiverse of Madness. Clearly, he is open to directing more superhero and comic book films. I believe he even commented on the fact that he would be willing to do another Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. And, but since No Way Home, I've been saying that at least TASM 3 is more likely because, at least Tobey, he got the trilogy. Andrew didn't even get the trilogy. He just got the 2 movies and was cut off right there. So, Tobey getting a 4th movie, it's possible, but I didn't think it was realistic. I didn't think it was actually going to happen. But now maybe it is happening because we just got an interview with Thomas Haden Church, who of course played Flint Marko, aka Sandman, in Spider-Man 3, and also returned for Spider-Man No Way Home. Not physically, but via his voice and, CGI form in No Way Home. But he was just doing an interview where he said, quote, "I've heard rumors that Sam Raimi is doing another Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. And if that's true, I maybe will campaign to do at least a cameo." What? Okay. I don't know where he's hearing these rumors. Imagine Sam Raimi actually has mentioned this to him, or Tobey Maguire, or somebody working on this project say that it is actually in development. He probably wasn't supposed to say this in an interview, but he did. But then again, there's also the huge potential and possibility that he just saw this somewhere on the internet and it was completely made up and just gossip scoopers and stuff like that, and he just totally believed that. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but what if there is more to this? Are we getting a Spider-Man 4 with Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire? Again, we know the fans want it. We know Sam Raimi is opening to do it. I think the biggest question would be, would Tobey Maguire do it? But then again, he doesn't really have a whole lot going on right now. Obviously his last movie that he did was Babylon, which actually, speaking of that, I just watched Babylon for the first time the other day. I liked it. It got a little weird towards the end, definitely way too long. Tobey Maguire's part was weird, to say the least. But he hasn't done anything since then, at least to my knowledge. I don't think he's filmed anything since then. So he doesn't really have a lot going on with his career at the moment. If they pay him enough, I'm sure he'd do it. And I think this would be interesting. We could get a Spider-Man 4. And the question is, if they do this, how would they do it? Because obviously it wouldn't be the same as Sam Raimi's original plans for Spider-Man 4 back when they were first going to make it. Because originally that was going to be John Malkovich as the Vulture. We were going to get Bruce Campbell as Mysterio. We were going to have... I don't remember. I think maybe it was Anne Hathaway as the daughter of the Vulture. She was going to be Felicia Hardy, but she wasn't going to be Black Cat. She was going to be the Vulturess. I don't know. It was a weird idea. But clearly, 20 years later, close to it. Not really 20 years, but, 10, 12, however many years it is, later, the story would be different, especially after we just saw Tobey in No Way Home. Obviously, they have to reference that. And if you do bring back some of those characters, like, for example, Thomas Haden Church's Sandman, obviously after No Way Home, he lost his powers, so he wouldn't be Sandman anymore. This does also mean you could bring back Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, and interestingly enough, Alfred Molina has talked about the fact that he has had conversations about coming back as the character. He has talked about rumors of possibly returning as Doc Ock recently, since No Way Home. He's talked about that. So they could bring him back. They could bring back Willem Dafoe. They could bring back those characters. They just wouldn't have their powers. Obviously, Doc Ock, he would have the tentacles still, because that's not a superpower thing that was removed. But this is just interesting. This is really interesting. And would it be maybe Tobey retiring? And, there's people have talked about the idea of maybe if we did get this fourth Spider-Man movie, it would be, instead of just another good old adventure with their friendly neighborhood Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, it is then instead Tobey and Peter and Mary Jane raising a child together, starting a family and everything, and then training their daughter, Mayday Parker, to become the next Spider-Man, Spider-Woman. Interesting. Again, there's a lot of possibility with this. I think it's an interesting idea. I don't really know where this is coming from, where Thomas Haden Church is hearing about this, but if this ends up being the case, I hope it's true. I think this would be awesome. I think this would be great. Obviously, the fans want it. It would make a whole bunch of money. Sony would honestly be stupid to not want to do this. Same goes for TASM 3. I really, really want that as well. Doing this